In Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer, you are part of an Apex team, the best of the best the Nexus has to offer. While not a regular group of soldiers, they are nonetheless talented individuals that take on the most dangerous and important missions in this new galaxy. In this series, we are going to take a look at the various class builds for the various characters in the game's multiplayer. So with that in mind, I'm Darcblade, and let's take a look at the next Mass Effect Andromeda Multiplayer class guide, the Asari Sentinel. Now, as always, remember that these guides are aimed at the harder difficulties in the game and are made for rank 10 level 20 characters. However, later on in the video there will be suggestions for lower ranked characters so long as they're level 20. The Asari Sentinel comes with quite a versatile power set, but on top of that she is actually quite a defensive character, able to take a lot of punishment before actually going down. Initially you may be put off by low health and low shields, but thanks to her abilities she can become a wall in which the enemies will just break against. With that in mind, I start by maxing out BACKLASH. Now, some players may ignore BACKLASH altogether in favour for going for a more damage focused route with throw and energy drain. But I wanted to utilise one of the rare and unique abilities in the Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, being BACKLASH. So, I start by taking rank 6 Damage Aftermath. This will increase your damage for 3 seconds after releasing BACKLASH. However, this scales with the amount of damage actually absorbed by the BACKLASH Aegis. Whilst the shield is up, if you go to the point where the BACKLASH will break, then you will receive a maximum 20% increased gun damage and up to 30% power and melee damage increase. Shield Resurgence is also fine, but I felt Damage Aftermath gave the Asari Sentinel a little bit more bite. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Reflection over Durability. This is simply because I want the damage reflected to be dealing as much as possible. Next, with rank 4, I put points into Durability over Recharge Speed. Recharge Speed would probably be the better option if you were purely focusing on going for the Damage Aftermath or Shield Resurgence buff. I went for Durability to balance things out and allow BACKLASH the opportunity to deal a bit more reflection damage to targets. Next, with Throw, I only put 1 point into this, simply so the ability can be used to detonate combos. However, as with the Human Sentinel, Throw can come in quite useful when combined with Energy Drain, the third ability for the Asari Sentinel. So if you were to max this out, probably in favour of BACKLASH, I would go up to rank 6 putting points into Swift Detonation over Double Throw. Afterwards, I'd probably put points into Duration over Recharge Speed. This is because Duration will turn Throw into a primer. Also, Swift Detonation really does give you an already quick cooldown. And finally, with rank 4, I would put points probably in Damage and Force over Radius. Next, with Energy Drain, I maxed this out going up to rank 6 putting points into Team Drain over Damage. Team Drain allows Energy Drain to restore a portion of your allies' shield so long as they are close to you. This is indeed useful at keeping not only you alive but your entire team. Great for hunkered down positions or when taking objectives such as upload or hack. Damage is also fine, but the fact that Team Drain supports your entire team trumps damage in my opinion, as it allows the Asari Sentinel to potentially come in handy as a healer of sorts. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Extended Drain over Auxiliary Drain. This allows Energy Drain to be used as a combo primer, so you would normally use Energy Drain, restoring your shields, setting up the target for a tech combo, and then follow it up with Throw. This rotation of abilities is one of the key ways to play the Asari Sentinel. And finally, with rank 4, I put points into Recharge Speed over Effectiveness. Both of these are quite good, but Recharge Speed allows me to use the ability more often, thus allowing me to potentially get a portion of my shields back more often, but at the same time it allows me to set up more tech combos. Next, with the passives, in Offensive Biotics, I maxed this out going up to rank 6, putting points into Biotic Warrior over Biotic Expert. Now, at the end of the day, both of these are down to personal preference, but I will say that both of these buffs can be activated by both BACKLASH and Throw. And whereas Biotic Expert will come in handy when it comes to the Throw ability, Biotic Warrior enhances both your weapons and melee damage. So even if you're not actively using BACKLASH to reflect damage, just using it and then dropping it will keep the Biotic Warrior or Biotic Expert buff going. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Combo Detonation over Weapons and Melee. This is to increase the damage of combos created by Throw and Energy Drain. And finally, with rank 4, I put points into Power Efficiency over Power Enhancement. This is to basically allow me to use Energy Drain and BACKLASH more often, thus providing protection for me and my team and allowing me to restore shields to myself and my team. And finally, with Tech Armor, I maxed this out going up to rank 6, putting points into Shield Feedback over Reactive Armor. This again adds survivability to the Asari Sentinel. And then finally with rank 5 and rank 4, I put points into protection and protection, which increases the damage resistance of the character overall. As a Sentinel character, they get no increase in their health and shields unfortunately, but they get the damage resistance for when they do take damage instead of increasing those stats. Now as for weaponry, you can take really whatever you want, so long as you maintain that power recharge speed at 100%. As for gear, take something to either increase your survivability, weapon damage, biotic damage, or finally tech damage. Anyway, moving on to the heart of the episode to talk about the Asari Sentinel's moves and abilities. Their first move, which not many characters have, is Backlash. Once the ability button is pressed and held down, the Asari Sentinel will generate a frontal biotic aegis, or shield, that reflects most projectiles, as well as reducing damage from other enemy attacks. You can also use the Aegis to counter melee attacks as well. Although this doesn't return the damage, it can actually nullify the melee attack if timed right. On the whole, if you are highlighting an enemy, then all damage received from the front will be reflected back at that target. You can also use this as well to get headshots, so aiming while Backlash is up is advised. On the whole, Backlash is not invincible. Standing out in the open with your shield up is not always the best course of action. For the Asari Sentinel, it is best used when on the move, or to protect teammates who are going for objectives, or maybe going to revive a downed teammate, or for when you want to get the damage aftermath buff. The damage aftermath buff increases all damage for 3 seconds to a percentage of the amount of damage you have absorbed. You'll be able to tell when damage aftermath is at its maximum when your shield breaks, and you'll see glowing biotic energy around the Asari Sentinel. Just make sure that when you do drop Backlash that you go to attack straight away. With the Asari Sentinel though, Backlash really does make this character a tank. This is also thanks to the other abilities that support Backlash. So when you're taking damage, you can have your Backlash up, absorbing damage and reflecting it back at the enemies. When it breaks, or when there's a break in the enemy's attack, you can then drop Backlash, energy drain to restore any shields you have lost, followed that up by throw to create a tech combo. A tech combo creates an electric static cage that stuns enemies nearby, which gives you enough time to either get to cover or even for Backlash to come off cooldown, and then you can rinse and repeat this rotation. Backlash is also an ability that its cooldown can benefit from using it sparingly. For example, if you only absorb a shot or 2 and then drop the Backlash, the cooldown will be quicker than say if you let the Backlash break. The main issue with Backlash is that you have to be patient. There are times where the enemy won't actually actively shoot at you, which can be frustrating. So try to anticipate when the enemy are about to attack you, and then put up Backlash at the last second to reflect that sniper shot, observer beam, or anointed's barrage. One last note on Backlash as well, it can't reflect certain attacks. For example, the Hydra's missile barrage, it can't reflect that back at the Hydra. It can absorb the damage, as well as attacks from say the Krogan Berserkers, but it doesn't reflect this. So you can say that slower moving projectiles won't be reflected back at the targets, but it still comes in handy for blocking the attacks and protecting your team. The next ability is Throw, a pretty standard biotic ability found on a lot of biotic characters. Once used, the Asari Sentinel will hurl a gravity-filled projectile at targets. Once Throw hits the target as well, it will knock back unshielded and unarmored foes, not only dealing damage on the initial hit, but damage for when they collide with the environment. Also, if you're lucky enough as well, Throw can be used to knock unprotected enemies off the map, killing them instantly. If a target is protected, however, it will simply just deal damage on the initial hit, but won't actually throw them back. Throw is a home-in projectile as well, so you don't have to be incredibly accurate with the ability for it to hit the target. All you have to do is actually highlight the enemy, and then you can use the ability to arc around cover to hit the target. In this build for the Asari Sentinel, Throw is primarily used as a combo detonator, meaning that you'll use this ability whenever you have a chance, so long as it's used after using energy drain. This will detonate the tech combo that deals extra damage to targets, as well as creating an electric static field that can stun opponents. If you don't like Backlash, then maxing out Throw is probably advisable. This will turn the Asari Sentinel into a moderate damage dealer and support character instead of a tanky character. Rank 5 duration turns Throw into a biotic combo primer, meaning that you can use Throw followed up by energy drain to create a biotic combo. However, you can only create biotic combos on unprotected targets, so targets without blue or yellow health bars. The next ability is Energy Drain, a wonderful ability that restores shields by sapping the electric magnetic energy around a target. This deals moderate amount of damage, but it can deal extra damage to shields and synthetic enemies. synthetic enemies being the entirety of the Remnant faction, as well as targets like Hydras. Also, the way it's spec'd in this build, it can be used as a combo primer and detonator. So it can be used to set up tech combos like I've already mentioned, but it can also be used to activate combos from either your teammates or, if you put points into it, throw. But the main use for energy drain in this build is as a survivability tool. It helps restore yours and your team's shields to a certain percentage, of course. This gives everyone more survivability, as it allows the Asari Sentinel to basically fill a pseudo healer role in the team. Of course, she won't be able to restore their health, but she can restore their shields. Also, energy drain is an instant cast ability, so as soon as the target is highlighted, press the ability button and it should hit them, even if they're slightly behind cover. Now, as I already mentioned, the main rotation you need to think about with the free abilities that the Asari Sentinel has is Backlash, to the point where you can reflect enough damage, as well as gain a buff from the damage aftermath evolution to increase your overall damage. Then, either when Backlash breaks, or there's a break in the enemy attack, drop the Backlash, use energy drain to restore any shields that you've lost while Backlash is up. This will also restore any shields to any allies nearby, and then follow that up with throw to create a tech combo, creating that electric static cage around the targets. Afterwards, either Backlash should have come off cooldown, or you can move and position yourself to cover, all the while using weaponry in between if possible. As for the passives with offensive biotics, the first one, Biotic Expert and Biotic Warrior, is down to personal preference. Like I said, Biotic Expert can benefit throw and Backlash, but Biotic Warrior is an all-round buff for your weaponry. Combo detonation helps when it comes to the tech combos or biotic combos if you spec into throw, and power efficiency allows you to use all your abilities more often. And finally, with tech armor, basically this is spec'd for maximum damage resistance and shield regeneration, giving the Asari Sentinel even more survivability. Weaponry isn't really too much of an issue on this character. Go with something that you're comfortable with, that will aid you when it comes to using weaponry. The Asari Sentinel, being an Asari character, has fairly low health and shields. Also, being a Sentinel, she can't really increase them in any way. For her melee attack, she has a standard biotic punch, and for her dodge mechanic, she has a dodge fueled with biotic energy. This actually moves her quite a distance, at quite a fast speed as well, allowing her to easily dodge out of the way of incoming projectiles. If you don't have a rank 10 level 20 Asari Sentinel, then I would first advise still maxing out energy drain, going up to team drain and extended drain. After which I'd probably advise going into offensive biotics, going up to combo detonation. Afterwards, it's a case of whether you want to invest into Backlash or throw, and then finally work on your survivability and tech armor. Overall, the way I have the Asari Sentinel is aimed as a tank-based character, protecting the front lines as your team moves around the map or hunkers down in a single position. Keep in mind the rotation as well when playing this character of Backlash till you get the buff, then energy drain, throw, rinse and repeat. I would say that if you are playing with an Asari Sentinel and they are spec'd in this way, you see them using Backlash a lot for example, then try to stay close by them. Not only can the Backlash protect you from incoming damage, but energy drain, especially if they are playing as I've spec'd in this build, can also restore your shields. Remember that you're not going to be dealing the most damage with this character. Even if you don't like Backlash and instead max out throw, there are other characters in the roster who can far out damage the Asari Sentinel. That does not mean she's bad in any way, as she can still dish out good sustained damage, as well as being able to potentially crowd control the enemy thanks to tech combos. But I would say try to focus mainly on protecting yourself and your teammates. Backlash does take a little bit of getting used to. It's not a newcomer friendly ability. It will take some practice. But so long as you're using that and using energy drain as much as possible, you should be able to take on the harder difficulties easily, because the enemy will struggle to take you and your team down. Anyway, I hope this guide comes in helpful, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you another Mass Effect Andromeda Multiplayer class guide to the Asari Sentinel. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.